Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War event objectives for the Pick a Pocket or 2 event, in which the Goblin Rocket is added to the game. So of course, we have finally gotten the June calendar. That's not it. The June calendar. So, quite a few things happening this month. Most noteworthy, Vault Event weekends look like they're back on track about once every single month. Of course, we have one this weekend, as well as the first weekend of next month as well. Which is kind of funny. It's going to be exactly the case, like perfectly aligned, where we're getting the new Mythic and the Vault Event at the exact same time. Wonder if they're going to keep that up for a while then. Because honestly, I kind of like that. The double, Vault Event going with the new Mythic, as it allows you, if you don't currently have the resources to go get the new Mythic for the month, it allows you to go and grind it during the Vault Event. So, of course, yeah, it's a pretty nice combination. So if you still want it but don't have the resources for it, you have a means of actually obtaining it. I'm not sure if they're going to keep this going, but at least for this month and apparently for next month, they will both coincide together. So you will be able to actively farm for whatever the Mythic is. Of course, you can technically always do this, but it's a lot easier to do during the Vault Event because of how much resources you can get during it. Unfortunately, the one that we're getting this month, not the greatest. It looks like it's a mech troop with resummon that does a decent amount of damage, but when compared to Tina 9000 or Tesla from the Kingdom, it just doesn't really, for one, do as much damage as them, but also it doesn't do true damage. It does physical damage instead of true damage, and compared to the two better true damagers from the location, there just isn't really a need to really bring it out, unfortunately. Like if it's the only thing you had, you'd definitely be able to build around it. I'll be covering videos for, or bunch of teams for on Friday when it ends up coming out in a separate video. But as far as its actual use cases, you're probably not going to bring it out much. It's one of those things that you're pretty much only using if you don't have Tesla or if you don't have Tina 9000 under either a Donna restriction in the case of Tesla or a mech restriction in the case of Tina 9000. But otherwise, yeah, it's very niche and probably just a last resort kind of thing they would use. But it does have resummon, so might be some niche cases where you bring it out for that as well. Beyond that, other things we have going on, probably the other big noteworthy thing is on the 16th, we have the start of the summer event. This could be lasting for 2 weeks. I believe the summer imp is also back as of today, though those imps, the exclusivity on them doesn't really matter too much since you can kind of get them whenever they rotate around in Soulforge as well, even if it's not the season, but that is around. But beyond that, yeah, summer event, those 2 weeks, we're getting a new legendary, new pet, all the normal stuff that ends up coming with, as well as the old summer armor. If you haven't obtained it in the past, you can go and obtain it then as well. Beyond that, other big thing, of course, we do have the return of Guild Wars, kind of like, finally being in a proper schedule. It should be about once every single month, and seemingly at the middle of the month, based on how it's currently going. Obviously, this could change in the future, but it does seem to be like it's going to be going consistently now, since, of course, the 8.5 patch from the other week finally ended up fixing the main issues with Guild War, as far as the glitches and a few other things with it. So, yeah, we should be on a pretty regular schedule of Guild Wars. This one is specifically going to be a dwarf restriction. This means having King Highforge probably going to be really relevant. Unfortunately, there is no way to target him between now and... Oh, no, that's not true. KZL event next week. Hold up. There is a way. Hey, they fixed it. I hope they start doing that more often. So one big issue with the most recent one, or technically the first one as well, is there wasn't really a way to go and target the really good troops. And the most recent one, of course, was, what, Divinity Field Centaur? Divinity Field? One or the other. They're basically the same restriction. But basically, you had to use the 50% mana start Centaur troop, but there wasn't a way to target it prior to that. But because we have access to KZL, this is the right K Kingdom, right? Yeah, KZL. You will be able to go during the KZL event key for the main things you need. Most notably, the 50% mana start for dwarves. So I wonder if they're going to start doing that deliberately going forward. I'm not sure if this is a coincidence this time around that's working out perfectly, or if they're actually planning around this for future Guild War restrictions, but this is really good. As that was one of the biggest issues with the previous Guild War, if you didn't already have it, is the main 50% mana start troop you needed to make the whole category work. You basically had to completely RNG from keys with no way to target it, but now you will be able to go target it. You just simply go throw down like a couple hundred event keys, and if you don't already have them, boom, you'll have them next week. So, yeah, overall, not that bad. They finally end up fixing that, so that's good. I'm not sure if this is going to be a recurring thing, but hopefully it will be. At least like during the Guild War week or the previous week, have a way of actually targeting the main troop that is relevant. So definitely make sure to do that if you haven't already. It's definitely not all the good dwarfs within the game, but 50% mana start will get you pretty much any team you need from there. And you can just kind of build around that. So yeah, highly advise getting that next week. Not this week, but next week for the following week's Guild War. So something to do next week for the following week. Gosh, we're going deep into the month already. Beyond that, yeah, that's pretty much everything. Pretty standard month overall. But the summer event definitely being the biggest thing, and pretty much everything being back on schedule, I guess, also being the other biggest thing, which is mostly held up on the 8.5 patch that is finally in the game, which also means we're probably not getting a patch this month. Next patch is probably quite a bit bigger, and it's probably happening, like, what, late this summer, probably? I would assume probably August, unless they're doing another, like, smaller one before then. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But obviously we just had one pretty recently, so probably won't see another one anytime soon. Anyways, yeah, so other things. Teams, I guess we'll mention the event real quick. So we have Invasion Event. Invasion Event works as per usual. You basically just use the troop. He has double magic and double score. He does not need to be upgraded to get either of these two benefits. However, having him further upgraded will make the event a little bit easier as far as how much damage you can do to the towers. However, maximum score does not require him to be upgraded, so simply having one copy and putting on your team will end up doing it. Just make sure he is on your team, as it is required to be able to get the double score. New weapon, this category that we've been getting for these, completely useless. This deals a bunch of damage and just has no follow-up at all. Actually, I say that. Wait, this could be an exception. Did they give this one auto extra turn? Wait. I say this. However, this might be the one exception time when that is actually not true. Let me just double check. I did not check this beforehand. Did they give it extra turn? No, come on. You had a chance to make it almost not 100% useless. But no, it's just 100% useless. Okay. Oh, they had a chance. If there was any of them that was going to not be bad, that one had the highest chance of being so. They unfortunately did not do so. Anyways, so teams. We got a lot of teams for the week. Let's start from the evasion event that we're just going over. Of course, make sure to use the mock the cannon rider in order to go and get your double score for every single one of the battles. Beyond that, Toad Squeezer, just really nice as impervious. Also a tower killer, so he does still have the extra amount of damage, though he's decent even if he wasn't a tower killer, as he has a decent amount of mana accumulation either from the 4 explodes or the enchant to all other allies they ends up doing. Of course, the new guy has a decent amount of explodes, consistently getting it every single time. So oddly enough, if this guy had impervious, he would pretty much be like a full replacement for Toad Squeezer. The only other issue is Norbert's Turnip. He does end up blocking Norbert's Turnip, which is kind of annoying. It's actually why we're running Wanda Stars here. Norbert's Turnip, which is in Soulforge, we'll get in Soulforge soon. 100% a weapon you want to get this week. Really good for making Goblin teams. Not sure, oddly enough, I'm not sure if I showed it on any team. I'm pretty sure I put it on at least one of them. But, because I made the teams before I went to sleep. So I actually forget what I even said for some of these. But, yeah, Wanda Stars you're definitely going to want to use for Invasion Event, because he does block Norbert's Turnip, which is a brown-yellow weapon, and it's just a little bit too clunky to run both. So yeah, Wanda Stars or some kind of other mana accumulation weapon is going to be your main route for that. And for the higher rarity team, we're just using Fairy Godmother with all the Wish Gems to try to get our mana that we end up needing. As far as the lower rarity team, we ended up going with a pretty standard build, just without Norbert's Turnip, and obviously adding him. We're just using Strength Fiddler. We end up using Archmages with a double purple banner for both of these. Main reason for this is to try to feed in as much mana as we can and then have some kind of fill troop. Keep in mind, you can also use the new troop that end up coming out. We'll get over to her in a little bit as well. But they did add a new blue-purple mana accumulation option, so if you don't have that, of course you get event key for it too. But you can also use the Goblin Pickpocketer that end up coming out today as well. Overall, it's quite a bit less mana accumulation though. Just choosing the enemy destroys a bunch of gems of one in their color, and it's boosted by gold, and then gains a little bit extra gold. The problem with this is Strength Fiddler basically does the exact same thing, except it explodes gems rather than destroying them. And exploding them is definitely way better value than destroying them. You also get a free silence on top of that. He doesn't end up getting a little bit extra gold, but he doesn't come out of green store, which is pretty nice. He does do it for 3 higher mana costs, but I feel like the 3 higher mana costs for how much more mana he ultimately does, basically exploding all the gems instead of destroying them, is generally going to make String Fiddler way ahead of it. As the problem with her destroying is it's pretty random which one you do. Like if you target something like a brown-yellow troop, it's only going to do brown or yellow mana, not counting anything that cascades. Whereas he will always do a wide variety of everything. Even if he ends up hitting like yellow or brown, you're going to be getting every mana, not just yellow or brown. Where the issue with her is whatever she ends up destroying is pretty much the only color that you're only end up going to be getting. So it's a really big restriction that she has compared to String Fiddler, meaning that String Fiddler is still going to be the option over her pretty much every single time. I guess one benefit is in the future she'll be easier to get, only in Ultra Rare, but they're both pretty much free to get this week through either Event Key or through this, in this case, getting it through Glory as well. But otherwise, yeah, it's going to be String Fiddler. If you have String Fiddler, use it instead. But if you had to, Goblin Pickpocketer will be perfectly fine. That's not where I wanted to go. Okay, so after the invasions, we have our brown-green restriction for the Amethyrax faction, of course, most notably where Truffle is from. For the low rarity team, of course, you go Truffle too. But we're just using a Rowan quick kill team with Leprechaun. We do have access to Leprechaun, Box Strider, stuff like that, so really easy to get all of your mana that you need. For our high rarity team, we did end up bringing out Truffle, the actual standard meta team as well for him. So this is infinite loop, like true infinite loop, like literally it will never stop going. as long as you get going, as long as you still have the green storm active, which we have off our hero here. But basically the whole premise of this is it has Dispel into green storm one of the few times. We actually mentioned this during the Magrim Woods event week the other week. I don't think I actually showed the team, but this was the team I was referring to. But basically this is one of the only few use cases that the Warden hero class has, having both green storm and Dispel, the only hero class that has both. And basically what we do here is we need to get the team rolling within the first 4 turns while we still have the green storm. Forest Troll doubles all the green onto the board, +3. And then King Gob Truffle, of course, creates a combination of green and brown. The brown feeds back into Forest Troll, the green feeds back into itself, and you just keep doing that indefinitely until you win. And if you want some more damage pressure, you can convert all the browns into Doom Skulls and get a big burst of damage, and then go right back to looping your King Gob Truffles over and over again until you end up winning the battle. And that's pretty much the whole premise with this team. Overall, really great, decent amount of damage. The main reason you don't see it too often, or wouldn't really use it too often, is as a bit of a slow startup. Even though it's infinite loop and actually does a decent rate of damage output, it is still slower than things like Stellarix or Flower Dragon, as well as slower than, you know, just using like Leprechaun Box Strider or something similar. While when it gets going, it does end up doing a lot of damage. It's just the game modes where it would actually be relevant to do so, you're normally better off using a insta-kill, like a High King Iron Gut version of a team, which we do end up doing for Underspire, as well as just using, you know, the stronger things that already exist, like Flower Dragon and the such. So it's very niche when you bring it out, but it is true infinite, like literally like never stops, assuming the enemy has no freeze or similar other anti-mechanic to the such. As far as the Pure Faction team, you generally just run 4 Truffles. I did put a Mushroom Man here. I can't remember if this was the new guy or not, but I think he was the new one. I can't remember, but basically he has a little bit of score reduction and ends up gaining a rage and a bunch of attack. Unfortunately, no durability, but this thing can still scale to be one-shotting the enemy team, and it does end up using the brown that you're going to have like a billion excess of from spamming your Truffles, so there's a little bit of value there. Otherwise, just go 4 Truffles. Main thing we're actually using him for, oddly enough, is his 33% score reduction, as even though he doesn't have any way to regain durability, at least he'll be a little bit more resistant to skulls as you go throughout the battle. Beyond that, we have the Thief Hero class. This is a restriction of goblins, specifically from Zaejin, which is pretty much where all the goblins are anyways. But as far as this team, we're just using Mana Link on the Goblin Rocket in order to feed whatever red weapon we want. In this case, we're using Dawnbringer. If you don't have Dawnbringer, Summer's Fury would be perfectly fine, the one you just get from leveling up Hero Masteries. And just keep spamming your weapon until you end up winning. As far as the Underspire team, this is a restriction specifically of anything from Zaejin. As far as this, we do bring out the Norbert's Turnip for the high-rated team. We are doing Norbert's Turnip. Basically, this weapon, really insanely good. The main thing that makes it really good is it has auto extra turn. If it wasn't for that, it would be a pretty average just mana accumulation weapon. But it does have auto extra turn. It ends up dealing a bunch of damage to an enemy, boosted by goblins, and creates a bunch of green and red. In this case, green will feed into Truffle, the red will feed into Flaming Ani, as well as technically the green excess. And then you just do those for mana accumulation. You do this for a bunch of poke damage, as well as feeding back to itself and to Turnip. And Flaming Ani just resummons your entire team if you somehow start falling behind, as well as just mass mana accumulates. And High King Iron Gut just insta-kills everything. And whatever you can't insta-kill with High King Iron Gut, you just poke down with Infinite Loop and go from there. So similar to most Goblin teams, since they are very extra turn heavy, can end up just extra turn spamming until you end up winning with poke damage if you really had to. As far as the Low Rarity team, we're still going with our Norbert's Turnip. Actually, this was the meta back in, gosh, 2018? This is one of the 10 teams from the 2018 teams video we never posted. Actually, I still have them down here, by the way. We still have this team down here. I think I literally copy-pasted and just changed the banner because we have gotten a better banner since then. But, yeah, this thing has been around since like 2017, 2018. And it is still good. And it's relatively low rarity too. Actually, no, I did use the same banner. I didn't even change it. Isn't there a better banner for this these days? Let me go double check. I think there is. I think there's a slightly better, more modern banner for this. What would you want with this team? Green and brown, probably. Oh, yeah, I think there was that one. The problem is some of you guys might not have this banner. I think I did do it for one of the teams. Yeah, I did use this for one of the teams. This was one of the more modern banners that's actually better with this team. I have it on a different one for copy-paste, so I'm not going to put it on this one, I guess. However, yeah, this was a more modern banner that came in through this warband. I'm not sure if this warband's available right now, the 100-pack one. I always get lose track. Also, the most recent update didn't update them either. These things almost never rotate around if you're missing like the old warbands. They definitely got to do some kind of different system with that. I wish they were just always available there. There's only ever 5, and I think there's like 9 of them or 11 of them or something, and they almost never rotate. Like, you'll be lucky if they rotate 2 in even once a year. And normally it's like for a new 2 or something. But, yeah, long story short, yeah, this was a slightly better banner for it these days, but, you know, you can still run with whatever for it. Ends up working out pretty well. Green mana, definitely the most notable one because you need to get Truffle going and just keep that going back into your weapon. With brown, probably the second most useful secondary one, but you can kind of do whatever you end up needing or wanting to feed into. But basically, the whole premise with this is he has Impervious, so he's immune to a lot of stats effects that you would have to deal with. You then get Norbert's Turnip going as you would with pretty much any pure Goblin team. You just feed a bunch of green and red into various things on your team, which is one of the reasons why we have the extra red, just to get Toad Squeezer a little bit more consistently to max mana. Obviously, double green to get Truffle rolling, and String Filler, similar to what we're doing with the Invasion team, just as a hold the line mana accumulation option all the way in the last slot. With that being said, we have been mentioning that Goblins have been pretty decent most of this video. And with that being said, the entire drop table for event keys right now is just goblins, goblins, and more goblins. So let's go open a few just to kind of see. Did we get anything? Oh, we didn't get any of the really cool stuff. I want to see if we could just randomly pull High King Iron Gut. As, yeah, that's the main thing you would kind of really want. So, honestly, there's no bad roll. You get, like, almost any drop from this place that's legendary or above. Honestly, even just anything. And you're probably getting a decent troop. This place is over-flooded with things that are decent, just because nearly every troop in this game, in this kingdom, has guaranteed extra turn on cast, you know, assuming they're not frozen or any other mechanic that stops extra turn. And even some of the few that aren't are still, like, really decent in some very niche teams. Like, Black Beast doesn't have auto extra turn, but it built some very niche teams and are better than mythics that are based off of it, which is kind of sad. For those mythics, that is. But, yeah, overall, there's almost no bad roll that you get in this entire drop table. It's one of the few times where it's really insanely good to throw down event keys. Probably the other best times, of course, is whenever there's a Magic Kingdom, but as far as actual troops that you get per key, there's pretty much no better time than now to go spend your event keys. One thing I don't always show because I normally claim it automatically just out of instinct, but if you go over to shop and go over to resources, if you haven't already been doing this, there is a option here that isn't gem related. It is a Spores of War that has a 10 limit every single week. It used to be infinitely buyable back when you could do it one at a time, but when they had the multi-buy option, they end up limiting it to only 10 per week. However, if you haven't been doing this, 1,800 glory for 10 event keys and a few other loot, but mostly the 10 event keys, of course, is insanely good value, and you should be doing that every single week. You get a few other knick-knack stuff to go with it too. But even just the event keys alone is 100% worth the 1,800 glory that it ends up costing. And of course the glory troop is also already over here, which we kind of already went over multiple times now, but yeah, it's basically just weaker String Fiddler. Overall, it's not bad, but very niche, and generally speaking, if you have String Fiddler, you're just writing that instead. And if you don't have String Fiddler, well, just go throw some event keys this week. If you currently are out of event keys, either get those 10 or wait till Vault Event week and just go get a bunch during this weekend, because you'll be able to go farm for it then. But yeah, as far as other things, as far as drop table, things that are not in drop table include the faction troop. I mean, not the faction troop. Well, yeah, the 5 faction troops from the Amethyrax. Those are, of course, not in drop table. What I meant to say was the invasion troop. I'm trying to figure out where it is, though. The invasion troop of Mock the Cannon Rider is not in drop table. The 5 faction troops from Amethyrax are not in drop table. These are from the Amethyrax portal. The Cannon guy is from, of course, the invasion event. The full card is not in drop table. This is from the Vault Key drop table. And that is everything not in drop table. So, things that are in drop table that are worth going for. Literally any mythic. You cannot fail a roll. Every single mythic here is insanely good in a different way. Fairy Godmother is the best way to feed very heavy, high mana cost troops in the entire game. While it is a little bit of a downside in that the enemy can also get the Wish Gems, as well as a 1 in 5 chance whenever you take a Wish Gem to give the enemy team full mana, it is still the most powerful way to gain a lot of mana onto your team, as it'll feed every single thing regardless of how high their mana cost is, 25, 30, 50, 1,000. It'll feed them all the way to 100% full mana, which is very, very, very strong when using high mana cost options on your team. Beyond that, Flaming Ani is probably the more consistent mana accumulator here. Not only can he resummon an entire team of good troops because he summons goblins, and pretty much every goblin is viable because almost all of them have auto extra turn, but he does it for a bunch of explosion for extra mana accumulation, both into himself and everything that he's about to summon, and has, of course, auto extra turn, as pretty much every goblin does. He also has a bit of Firestorm and basically perpetual burn on the opposing team, though your own team will also get burned, though he does have immune to go with it. And of course, probably the most notorious one, and the one you'd probably want to have the most, is High King Iron Gut. He is the main instant killer and one of the really good ones for running down Underworld. It's pretty much the thing that you want to get if you want to start running full completion on the entirety of Underworld. While there are a lot of other alternatives these days, as well as just literally using buff Tesla. Just use a single Tesla or 2 on your team, you'll be fine. But of course, he covers a lot of restrictions that otherwise you wouldn't be able to use Tesla, or some other things that you might not have access to. Like if you have Zolgoth, there are still areas where you can run High King Iron Gut where you won't be able to run Zolgoth. But it's a great option for killing out Underworld if you want to get to the point where you finally do 500 completion on all of them. It's definitely a great way to start working towards that if you don't already have options that can end up doing so. Basically, his Devour rate is whatever his attack value is, and not only does he have a higher attack value during Underworld because of all the attack buffs, but on top of that, as soon as he gets Devour, in pretty much any game mode, he's going to have over 100 attack, even if you're earlier on in the game. Even if he only has like 40 or 50 attack value for you, as soon as he gets a single Devour, if you're in a high enough game mode where he's relevant to be using, after that one Devour, he's going to have a 100% chance to devour anything that can be devoured. And if they can't be, of course, you have access to Wand of Stars to go curse them, or anything else to go curse them, and just get rid of their immunity as well as stun, and just get rid of their immunity in order to go and devour them. And overall, yeah, really good. Does it for extra turn. You just feed a bunch of mana loop into him and just 4 times devour the opposing team. Use a bunch of other stuff on your team to go get rid of their immunities or be able to kill them if they do have immunity. And yeah, it's good to go. Just spam that out and you end up winning. So overall, great time to be throwing event keys. Definitely highly advise it. And regardless what mythic you get, as long as it's not a duplicate, you will be fine. As unfortunately, not a single one of these 3 is particularly good with more than 1 on your team. But any of these 3, if you were to get it, are a good mythic to have, which is probably one of the only kingdoms, if not the only kingdom in the game, where there's not a single miss for mythics. You get one, and you're definitely getting a good troop. Hiking Iron gets definitely the best of the 3, but you wouldn't be disappointed with any of the 3. I would say Fairy Godmother is probably the weakest if you're missing a lot of stuff, as she's only really good with a lot of like really hefty mythics, like if you already have like Flower Dragon, Slow Lyrics, you know, anything like 25, 28 plus mana cost. Otherwise, she doesn't get as much value for using like only legends with like 16, 18 mana cost, stuff like that, at which point like Flaming Ani would almost be a better mana accumulator, or just other mass mana accumulators similarly. Anyways, other things we have going on this week. Tuesday, we have the Amethyrax faction event, as we mentioned, at green-brown restriction. Wednesday, we have ourselves one of the Goblin Pet bonuses. Thursday is the Thief Hero class. Pretty much only really used with Goblin teams, but it's not a bad hero class. It's pretty good. But you mostly only use it if you're using Norbert's Turnip, which is going to go next into our Soul Forge. And then Friday, of course, is Vault Event Weekend and a new Mythic, which we'll be covering a video on once it comes around. So, we've been talking about Soul Forge a lot. Let's go straight to weapon. There's only one thing of Soul Forge you need to know about this week. We'll go over the other thing too real quick, but there's one thing you do not want to leave without, and that is Norbert's Turnip. It is absurdly good. We already went over this a little bit, but has a little bit of mana drain. The first enemy, most notoriously, has auto extra turn, assuming you're not frozen or anything, gain extra turn. So even if you miss with the green and red alignment on the board, you'll be able to go and gain an extra turn, which will then allow you to go take all the 4 times, 5 times that all your green and red created, if you don't end up just naturally landing one on the board to begin with. On top of that, yeah, it's pretty much just the fundamental for building a 4 times Goblin team. You don't have to build a 4 times Goblin team with it, but generally speaking, if you are building a 4 times Goblin team, this is the weapon that you're using. There are exceptions to this, like Invasion Event, for example, where Wand of Stars might end up being better, because the Tower Killers is function a little bit better with Wand of Stars than it does with Norbert's Turnip. However, in most situations of a 4 times Goblin team, Norbert's Turnip is the way to go, especially if you're building a nice variety of them, and not just spamming the tower killing troops. Beyond that, other things that are noteworthy in Soul Forge includes... Also, I didn't actually double check. I don't think they are. But I always get paranoid that I will forget to mention Dustbringer or Ruby Weapon. I know, like, near 100% that neither of these are from Zaejin, but every single week it's like, wait, is it? Am I like 100% certain? Anyways, as far as Soul Forge mythics are concerned, they're okay. Nothing really too over the top. Wild Queen kind of used for some skull spam teams. Has like that green creation of the skulls into stealing a bunch of attack that goes to your first ally. It's a really safe skull spammer, but there's this other skull spammers that normally get more overall value, like Wild King and Lord of Slaughter are probably 2 of the more notorious ones. But she's still a pretty safe skull spammer nonetheless. Obsidian is still the best way to stun in the entire game. While this is a lot less relevant these days because of Elementalist class existing, this does still have the most consistent stun in the entire game, be able to 4 times stun with a single extra turn. So if you're looking for a stun mechanic that isn't Elementalist and you're getting tired of running Elementalist on every single team, or you just want to run a hero class that has 50% mana start without having to put Mirage Team on your team, yeah, Obsidian is a good put in for that. Very rare that you use it in the current state of the game just because there's so many other alternatives, as well as Elementalist overshadowing in almost every situation. However, yeah, it's still useful. It's still the best way to stun. If you go do a curse stun, you just curse stun literally instantly. Keep in mind, if you are using an extra turn cursor on your team, make sure to put the extra turn cursor in front of your Obsidian, because they go in top left to bottom right order, so you need to put your cursor that does extra turn curse before your Obsidian to make sure that it curses them and then stuns them, and then potentially in one single extra turn you will curse stun them instantly on turn 1. So really powerful in that regard, but still very niche as far as when you bring it out in the current state of the game, but still worth mentioning. Anyways, other things. Invasion events, still doing invasion event stuff. Campaign is somewhat getting to the end. We're on week 8. Only 2 more weeks of that, and then we don't need to deal with the Submerged Gym ever again, other than the few troops that are going to have it. We're still pretty early in the PvP season. It's only the 2nd week, so still a lot to do with that. Still plenty of time to go do every single thing you need to go do with that event. And, yeah, it's everything, isn't it? We already went over Invasion, Chess. Definitely really good value. I still want to try. Come on. Oh, come on. I want one of the Mythics. I'm not sure why I want to see one of the Mythics just pop up. Should I win the Mythics? We'll do 50 more. If we don't get it there, we'll give it up. It's about a 1 in 1,000 if you are going to go for it. But, yeah, good luck if you are going to be trying for Mythics. Obviously, we already have them, so I'm not going to, like, dump them. But I was hoping we could get, like, a cheeky little Mythic out of nowhere. And, of course, as we mentioned earlier, get your 10 event keys all the way to the left there if you haven't already been every single week. And, yeah, your troop is basically this weaker string filler. There really isn't any use case to really use this unless you're using some kind of weird gold boost ratio team. Maybe even outside the context of Zaejin, we're using like a 4x rogue team. Because honestly, this thing probably has better rogue synergy than it has goblin synergy, oddly enough. Because if you're doing goblin, you're just using string fiddler. But if you're doing rogue, then maybe you bring out this. So yeah, we'll have to see in the next rogue restriction if she does end up making a comeback a little bit. As when it comes to rogue mana accumulators, yeah, she wouldn't be bad for that. But compared to goblins, there's just 1,000 other ways to go do it better than her. Like half of them, pretty much. There's just so many good goblins out there that she just doesn't really stack up to it. But compared to rogues, yeah, she does stack up a lot better, especially after the nerf of Rogue Spider. So, yeah, she'll get some use case in rogue, but probably not much use case in goblin. Even though she's not a bad troop, it's just the power creep, or just the power line of goblins in general are just really high. And she just doesn't really stack up to them comparatively. But anyways, yeah, that's the event week. Definitely a great time to be throwing down event keys. Good luck if you're going to be doing so. Best of luck on the Mythic if you are going to be doing them in event keys. And of course, the new Mythic is Friday, which you'll be able to get for that week starting this Friday, which will be in the Glory Gym Guild and VIP chests then. Unfortunately, it's a pretty weak one. Honestly, the drop table of event keys are probably better overall this week. But yeah, it's actually a lot of good Mythics to go get. We actually have a lot of Mythics back to back as far as the next week, because I believe the campaign Mythic, since we're this week late in, is technically available next week if you have the bigger pass. Unfortunately, it's a pretty bad. Actually, I shouldn't say that. He's actually not that bad. He has like the whole Submerged Gym mechanic. Honestly, out of anything in the Submerged Gym mechanics, that could be the only one that's really going to be brought out, which is good because not too many people will have it, and that means we shouldn't see Submerged Gems ever again because gosh, are they annoying. I didn't think they would be that bad at first, even though I normally use mech and everything. But the second I want to like not use mech this season, the Submerged Gems are just so annoying. Because it makes it so you need to use mech and Wanda Stars even more than you already needed to in the past, which I already felt like you had to like crazy high amounts. But now you just go into a random battle with no Submerge on it. It's like, oh, the enemy just gained Submerge. I guess we're going to take like an extra minute to go kill it now. It's really noticeable in Underspire because I've been doing a lot of full Underspire completions. Also, by the way, really good week to go do full Underspire this week. It is so free, especially if you have High King Iron Gut. But even if you don't, just Infinite Truffle Loop or whatever else. Really, really strong for Underspire this week. Like, you have 1 billion Infinite Loop Goblin teams to go run. So if you don't already run the full thing, probably a good week to go do it. Or at least deeper than you normally would, as it is a very free Underspire week. But I'm trying to make some kind of point here, and I already lost my train of thought. But yeah, Underspire is so free this week. Definitely 100% advise doing it. I already forgot what I was talking about with the thing. Wow. Anyways, train of thought probably doesn't matter too much. Anyways. Hope all of you, gosh, my sleep schedule has been so over the place right now. I need to get some rest. Anyways, hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. We'll be streaming tonight as we normally do, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will catch you guys later. Goodbye, everyone. And thanks for watching.